Godzilla vs. Kong is directed by Adam Wingard and stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, and a slew of others. And it's the next chapter in this cinematic monsterverse, which pits the two greatest icons in motion picture history against one another, the fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. So I don't know how many of you out there are invested in the monsterverse, or if you like these characters or not, but I for one have enjoyed these movies for quite some time. I am a die-hard Godzilla fan, and I even like the old hokey films where he somehow seems to have karate chop powers and that sort of weird stuff. I just always had a fond place in my heart for this, and I think it's because of the massive scale of destruction that takes place. There's something kind of fun about, you know, the fantasy of being able to just squash everything in sight, you know, like Hulk style. So we first had Godzilla, I believe directed by Gareth Edwards, a few years back, and then that was followed up by Kong Skull Island. And of course now we have the one that brings them both together, Godzilla vs. Kong. And I will say this, it was definitely a step up, for me at least, from those two other films, which I enjoyed to varying degrees. So let's get into it. And just touching on those previous films, the first Godzilla movie, I felt like it had that scale, it had a sense of imminent disaster, but it took so goddamn long to show the main character, the one everybody was there for, that by the time you got him, while it was awesome and the reveal actually works really well, it felt like you didn't get enough of Godzilla. Then we had the follow-up, Kong Skull Island, which is a throwback to those old adventure films, you know. And we had a introduction, I guess, well, for the King Kong fans, a different side of Kong, where he wasn't just, you know, the beast being felled by beauty, but we got a Kong that was a bit of a badass, you know, a Kong who, rightfully so, I guess, is worshipped by the people where he lives, and he's a protector and that sort of thing. Much smaller version of Kong, but they fixed that. They explained that he was a teenager in there. And these movies, all of these films together combine, and you get the well, of course, again, Godzilla King of the Monsters comes after that, but you have all these movies combining to build this monsterverse, to do what the Dark Universe couldn't seem to get off the ground, and to kind of just give elements and little hints as to, you know, these people called the Monarch, who have been theorizing that the earth is hollow, and just, you know, where these monsters come from, these Pacific Rim level kaiju monsters come from, and what would happen if they decided to really go at it. And that's where we get Godzilla vs. Kong, two alphas, two kings in their own rights, you know, coming at it. And this is what you want to see visually, this is what you want represented in King of the Monsters, which by the way, I had a blast with that movie. I enjoyed that movie a lot. Visually, while the monsters looked really good, the fight scenes were a bit difficult to see, especially there's one that takes place in the Arctic, and it's really hard to make out what's going on there. What Adam Wingard does here so well is you see everything. The first real fight between Godzilla and Kong takes place in bright daylight in the ocean. You can see everything that's happening. You can see every attack, every defense, everything that's happening, and I absolutely love that. I could make out, it was like watching the first Pacific Rim, where you could see it, you could feel the weight of their movement visually. I think the special effects, the CG is so good here, because you felt the size and the scale of these creatures, you know, you could in comparison to everything else that is around them. And I have to say that is the best element of these films. That is what you come to these films for, you know, let's face it. I know characterization of the human characters are important, and I know some people say that that's where these films suffer, and I agree. but it's an issue that I don't really care about because I'm not here for them. I'll be very honest about that. I don't care. I want to see monsters battle it out. I want to see these kaiju go at each other. And that's what I got here. And that's what this is where this film excels. If you want to say where it falls, I think for me, the issue, there's a couple of things. One, we have from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, we have Millie Bobby Brown returning as her character there, where she and her family members actually lost someone because of the battle that took place and the initial Godzilla reveal. And her character is now back. She's very much pro Godzilla, which I'm all for. I am Team Godzilla all the way. And her character and her storyline, the problem here is it reminded me a bit of the last Star Wars movie. I might be misremembering which one was which, but I think it's the one that had that whole side story with Rose and Finn and the casino, and that is what this felt like to me. The story, the plot line with Millie, it didn't flow well with the main plot line of them trying to get Kong to lead them to the center of the earth. That storyline actually flows pretty well, you know, but whenever they jump to what Millie's character was going through and her search for this man who knows about what I think the company is called Apex, what they are up to, it felt jarring. It honestly felt jarring, and by the third or fourth time it happened, I was just getting exasperated by it. You know, I understand that both stories have to fit together, the Kong stuff and the Godzilla stuff and the motivations behind everything, but it didn't flow well together, you know. Another aspect of this that I don't know, I guess it will work for some people, was the whole stuff with the little kid. I honestly felt like it was just kind of cheesy, and it was, I mean, it's a throwback to like E.T. and that sort of thing. You know, you have a little kid that connects with this big powerful creature or with this strange entity, and that's what her purpose was. But I felt like you didn't need it. I felt like that could have been written differently, and all of that stuff could have still worked. There'd still be a way to get Kong where he needs to be. The whole thing with the kid just felt unnecessary to me, you know. And she's a cute little kid, nothing against her, you know. And she I mean, she acts really well when you think about it. Her character, I don't want to give away too much, but for reasons her character doesn't speak, and the kid emotes so well. It's not on her, it's just story-wise, it just felt kind of cringy, kind of cheesy, you know. And it was, I guess it was supposed to bring out certain emotions in us, the viewers, but it never got to me that way. It never touched me on that scale. So sorry, but I'm not here for all of that. I'm here for monster battles. And like I said, that is when this movie excels. The score is really good here. The cinematography, I think, is beautiful. The battles, I'm trying to think about which one I liked best, and there's about 3 major battles in this, and I like them all. I think maybe my absolute favorite would be the battle in Hong Kong, you know, but they all worked for me because they all look so good, you know. The final battle against a certain character, it all works so well, you know. I haven't watched trailers, so I don't know what they reveal to you guys. I try to avoid trailers like the plague, so I'm trying not to give away anything. But I will say this too, if you are a fan of Godzilla, of Kong, of these types of movies, there's a predictable element to where this film is going. I knew exactly who the last character, the last enemy would be. I had no doubt in my mind, and that because of that, a lot of what I saw did not surprise me. But all of that said, guys, when you think of these types of movies through history, I think they started like whatever in the 50s, 60s, come up the road kind of thing, you know. whether you're a Kong fan or a Godzilla fan, these are not movies you go into really looking deep into story or into the human element of it. Even though the earlier films, I mean, we all know what Godzilla represents and what these things are supposed to mean. I think it's just a fun monster mash film. That's all I'm going into this for. It's the same reason I enjoyed Pacific Rim so much, you know, and it's why I could forgive that movie for the weaker elements when it came to the human characters, because I'm not here for that. I honestly don't care that much. Once the pacing is tight, which this movie I thought handled really well, once the action sequences look great and give me that sense of scale and that sense of scope and that sense of destruction, I'm all here for it. And you know what? If you want characterization, if you want character development, I felt like the two main characters gave us enough of that, which is Godzilla and Kong, and they never had to say a word. They didn't yell at each other a lot. They didn't scream and roar at each other a lot. And yet we all, if you're paying attention, it's all there. Even facial expressions from, of all things, Godzilla. If you look at it, it's so clear and it's so well designed. You could tell what was going through the heads of these two apex predators, and I was all for it. So guys, I'm giving Godzilla vs. Kong a 7 out of 10. I had a blast with this movie, maybe even 7.5. I enjoyed this a lot, and flaws and all, these types of flaws in this type of movie does not bother me. You know, a different kind of film maybe, but not this one. I'm here for monster on monster action, and that's what I got, and I got the best of it. So it gets a 7 out of 10 from me. So that's gonna be it, guys. And if you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought of it. Did it live up to expectations? Which of the, is it 4 films now? Which of them, you know, impressed you the most? Which ones did you like the most? If you had to rank them, what order would you put them in? A friend of mine, he just adores Skull Island, and I have to ask him. I haven't gotten a chance to speak to him yet, but I have to find out from him if Skull Island is still his top on the list, you know. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. It's always appreciated. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face when it pops up right about there. And you can check out past videos if you've got the time. So until the next one, guys. Bye-bye.